All right, so this is game 3 of the Royal Knights versus Vortex Warriors matchup. And this is, again, I'm learning how to play Royal Knights, so I'm going to rely on y'all to see what y'all would have done in these situations that I'm in. I'll also point out some misplays, um, some interactions with Royal Knights that you want to be prepared for whenever you see the setup coming. I did not see the setup coming, and I was punished for it. But I'm going to start, and I am going to hatch into Muchomon, or hatch into Fluffy and Digivolve into Mucho, use the agility training, and go ahead and search. I'm going to get the Shoto off of that. I only have one of those, and I have about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 level 6s. So I definitely want the Tamer instead. My opponent's going to hatch, and then they're going to go ahead and play the Dynasmon, putting me at 3. Dynasmon searches for a Royal Knight, I think 2 Royal Knights actually, then trashes the rest. No, it searches 1 Royal Knight, I guess. It's the option, I think, that searches 2 instead. So my turn, we're going to push up that Muchomon. Pop the training to Digivolve into Galemon. This is the Galemon that plays the Tamer for free. So that's value because the Tamer was a 4 cost. Got all that for 0 memory. And then now I'm going to try to figure out how I want to do this. I really wanted to get rid of the Dynasmon so it wouldn't go under his Yggdrasil. So we're going to use the Searcher Terramon. And this is going to be where a big misplay happens. So Searcher Terramon searches a Bird Avian and a Liberator or Vortex Warrior. I go to put back one of those cards that I searched because it was the Sphaga and Sphaga Ace. I forgot that they're all treated as bird dragons. So that's one thing to remember is that you are going to end up getting both of those cards if you do see the 2 level 6s because they're all Liberators, they're all Vortex Warriors, and they're also all bird dragons. So you don't want to miss out on that. I end up bottom decking one of the Savaga Aces and pulling the level 6, the starter deck Zephagamon. Let's see here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just Digivolve. I don't have any other good level 3 or level 5s. Just the Grand Galemon that allows me to play a 3K or less bird or avian by suspending one of my Digimon. If I wanted to, I could suspend one of my opponent's Digimon, but then I wouldn't get the free play of the Digimon on that. And the Shoto in the back allows me to, at the end of turn, suspend an opponent's Digimon and gain 2000 DP. So in this case, we're going to be passing over turn. We're going to suspend the Terramon. I believe, yeah, we're going to suspend the Terramon to go ahead and play another 3K, another level 3 essentially. And I have a couple options. The Suspend Terramon, which I don't need at this point in time, and then the Cost Reduction Terramon. So I'm not going to get any major benefit from either of these. I'm really just trying to build a wide board at this point. And I'm going to go ahead and choose the Cost Reduction Terramon. Or not Cost Reduction, I'm sorry, Digivolution Reduction Cost Terramon. So this is a misplay right here. At the end of this turn, I should have just used the Shoto to gain the 2k DP on the Grand Gale. It's just a wider threshold of protection for him. I decided not to do it because I didn't see any value, but you'll see me get punished for this in just a bit. My opponent hatches, Yggdrasil pulls the Dynasmon underneath, and now my opponent is going to go ahead and play a Royal Knight for reduced cost, and he's going to play the new Jesmon. So this is going to be for a cost of 4. Jesmon will play a token. I don't know the name of the token. And then when a Digimon is played on my opponent's turn, he pops an 8k or DP or less. The extra 2k from the Shoto would have put my Galemon at 9k, or my Grand Gale at 9k, so it would have survived, and he would have had to pop one of the smaller bodies, still giving me a pretty good board presence. So I'm at 1, and now I've got to see what I can do with just 1 memory. I'm pretty proud of this turn. I'm able to do a pretty good plays here. Using the cost reduction tarot, I'm able to Digivolve into Galemon and play the Shoto for free. So now I have a little bit more of a board established. and then Digivolve into Terramon in the back. Once again, always a search for Terramon that ends up being Digivolved in the back. I really sometimes need those searches off of it, but I finally draw into the Grand Gale with the protection. So the Grand Gale is going to go ahead and suspend the itself, I guess. Yeah, Grand Gale is going to suspend itself. We'll see why I did that in a bit. Oh, that's right, because then we got this Shoto. And then end of turn, Shoto will unsuspend the Grand Gale, give it piercing blocker. And then the new Shoto, which is the BT 20 Shoto, I believe, or 2.5 Shoto, it's going to suspend the token. The token is also a blocker, so that's the best choice to suspend. I think the token is only, 6k DP? So then I'm going to Vortex into that with my Grand Galemon. I do have some DP boosts from some effects, inheritables, and other Shoto. And then we're going to do Piercing, which checks a Zephagamon. So now it's my opponent's turn, and his Yggdrasil is going to hatch and then pop his Royal Knights and suck them under the into the breeding area. So this is where the game starts getting intense. We do have a really good back and forth here, where essentially my opponent and I are just trading blows and getting rid of each other's big bodies. Um, I do have to go through all of my like really good Digimon, but at the same time, if you ever see your opponent hard playing an Omnimon X antibody for the effect, it's just know that that's they're not in a great situation either. And so the Omnimon is going to raid into me. They're not raid. I'm going to see the swing into my Digimon, and then piercing. So it's my turn. I promote my Terramon. With the Terramon, I'm able to. I have enough memory, so I'm able to start doing some plays here. My biggest goal is getting rid of the Omnimon, and then maybe trying to establish a board after that. So I'm going to use the Suspend Terramon to, suspend his Omnimon. And then I'm going to go ahead and suspend my two Digimon to reduce the cost of my Medieval Gallantmon being a play cost of 7. And then that will allow me to bottom deck or delete the Omnimon. Omnimon is 16k DP with 3 suspended sources. Medieval Gallant can delete a 17k or less DP Digimon. And then so my opponent is gonna start his turn. He doesn't get anything tucked under his Yggdrasil, but he does have a Jesmon GX Ace. So it tucks the source under and then pops the Digimon with equal or less DP to itself. Which there goes my medieval. But it turn is still over to him. He's going to use the Royal Knight option that allows him to tuck one into his breeding area. And he's going to choose Craniumon. All right, so it's my turn. And now I got to get rid of a Jesmon GX Ace with 1 memory. Well, actually 2, because I'm going to gain 1 at start of my main phase with Shoto. And the good news about GX Ace is that by getting, or 2, when I get rid of it, I'll gain some memory back for that. And so I start looking into using the 2.5 Shoto to play a free tamer and then play a body. But I don't even have a tamer. I was really doing it to play the body for free. Turns out you need to have no Digimon on the field. So we decide not to do that. I draw into another Medieval Gallantmon off hatching in the breeding area. So we suspend these 2 and suspend to play the Medieval Gallantmon. Medieval on play will suspend. Well, his effect On play will allow him to activate a Digivolving effect, which is suspend one of my opponent's Digimon or suspend a Digimon, and then pop a DP 17k or less for the 3 suspended bodies that we have on the field. So Overflow does pass turnover still, but it leaves my opponent at 1. And then once again, probably should have done the Shoto play to give something an extra 2k DP. My opponent uses Alphamon or Yukin, which was for free, but good news is it can't attack. And then he's going to pop his option to play Jesmon out. The Jesmon won't get its on play abilities, but it will have Rush so it can attack. This combo is really good because if it attacks my security, which it is going to do, hits the Shoto, the memory setter, but then Omnimon or Alphamon or Yukin will trigger to gain 3 memory. And then to finish the turn, my opponent goes and plays Omechamon. All right, so it's my turn. I got 3 Tamers, 3 bodies. My opponent has a field of 3 Digimon. And so now I'm going to aim to try to get rid of these Digimon. At least the Alphamon or Yukin. If I do that, then Overflow will hopefully pass turn back over to me. And I have a couple of options. But right now I'm trying to see how I can get rid of some of that security and get rid of the Alphamon or Yukin. But if I get rid of the security while it's on the field, I'll lose 3 memory. So I have to get rid of the Yukin first and then start doing my plays. Yeah, this is me learning not the hard way, but just kind of beginning to understand that when the security is removed, no matter whose turn it is, or Yukin is going to gain the 3 memory. So I decide not to attack. Instead, I'm just going to hard play this Zephagamon, and I'm going to suspend the Oryukin since there are 2 bodies. It bottom decks it, and Overflow passes turn over to me. And then just to give my opponent as little memory as possible, I'm going to use the agility training and get the Galemon, one of the promos. End of turn, Shoto will suspend my opponent's Omechamon and then give my Zephagamon an extra 2k DP. And then this will give my Zephagamon Piercing Blocker, which I probably should have layered that differently. So the Zephagamon with Vortex is a Jesmon and then Unsuspend. I guess it really doesn't matter. Yeah, in the long run, I'm going to have the Piercing no matter what, and I'm going to Unsuspend no matter what. So my opponent still has the Omechamon on the field with the start of his turn, and the Omechamon will go ahead and swing at security. I decide not to block because I'm hoping that it doesn't die in my security. I do have a lot of small bodies, but it sure enough hits the 7k DP Digimon and gets tucked under the Yggdrasil sources as well. And so my opponent will play the Jesmon, which plays a token. And when a Digimon is played on my opponent's turn, the Jesmon will pop an 8k DP or less Digimon. And then I'm explaining to my opponent the unsuspend ability for Zephagamon Ace. I kind of word it as just whenever the Zephagamon suspends, once per turn it can unsuspend itself, but it's whenever any Digimon suspends once per turn, Zephagamon can unsuspend itself. Realistically, you're probably not using that effect like that too often, but you never know. So my opponent plays a Craniumon off the Royal Knights option to swing at my security. And I'm debating on whether to block or not. I really don't know why I think that my opponent is going to some way, shape, or form get rid of the Zephaga if I block. It doesn't matter if I block at this point or not. It does hit the Shoto, the 3-cost EX7 Shoto, but then my opponent plays Medieval, getting rid of my Zephagamon. So either way, I lost Zephagamon, I lost security, and I probably should have blocked one of those hits, if not both. So it's my turn. I have the memory setter Shoto plus the 2 memory from this EX7 Shoto. I'm officially out of level 3s, so I don't Digivolve in the back, but I am going to pop the agility training to Digivolve into Promo Galemon, which this time I do remember to use the effect properly. I am going to suspend. I choose to, in the long run, suspend the token actually. I'm deciding between Medieval. I'm kind of trying to understand what Yggdrasil pops. I still didn't understand after this, but um, that really doesn't matter. I think I figured it out either way. So we suspend the token, go into the Grand Gale, suspend my Terramon to be unaffected by opponent's Digimon effects. And then I decide to go into Galemon to suspend my opponent's Jesmon. The promo Gilmon, this one does have the ability to Digivolve and then reduce that cost by 1 for each other suspended Digimon, but I don't have any more level 5s in my hand, so we can't do that. But I'm going to pay the cost to Digivolve my Grand Gale into Zephagamon. I'm suspending the Medieval, bottom decking the 2 Royal Knights, which stops them from going back under the Yggdrasil. And now I can Vortex. And I'm going to choose to go into the Medieval Gallimon, which leaves only the token on the field. Medieval does have piercing, or I'm sorry, Zephagamon does have piercing. It hits, it survives security, and then it does unsuspend by its own effect. I think right now I'm deciding to activate the Shudder or not. I just decide to use it so I can get blocker. And then we're trying to figure out exactly how much DP the Sephaga Ace has. So my opponent decides to play Lord Nightmon. Yeah, Lord Nightmon. So this has a redirect ability, which is going to be a little difficult to get around later on. And essentially, he's just going to do his best to set up some blockers. The Lord Nightmon effect, when played, will go ahead and play an Omekamon. And then my opponent will just play a Mekamon for cost. All right, so it's my turn. My opponent has 2 security left. This is something that I did not know how this deck works, and it's really good that I got to see this now rather than later. But if you ever see that Neomekamon in the back in the breeding area, you're going to want to play around that. So I'll kind of show you exactly what happens in just a bit. I'm kind of deciding what to do. I see myself having game, but he has a blocker and a redirect. So I'm trying to get around those first, but that's apparently not going to matter. So I'm going to go in and swing at security, use the Fluffymon to suspend the token, and then use the effect of Zephagamon Ace to unsuspend. My opponent's going to take it, and then he's going to trigger his Omekamon in the breeding area. So it plays itself, and since he only has 1 or less security, it digivolves into Omnimon X Antibody, triggering effects that you get rid of bodies on the field, um, and then he has a protection that will protect the Lord Nightmon. I didn't quite see what that was. but essentially he clears my board. Whenever you see that Omekamon in the back, by the way, I lose this game. Um, do you want to either have your medieval Gallantmon ready for the field, maybe Digivolved on top of one of your other Digimon? Obviously, I went through my two. I probably should have thought that out better. Or if you're running like Pomamon, for example, you can play the Pomamon to stop him from playing the Omekamon from breeding area. And with the medieval Gallantmon, let's say you have that on the field. So once the Omekamon is played, two effects you're going to trigger. The medieval, which triggers when a Digimon is played, you can activate the when Digivolving effect, and then the Omeka to Digivolve. Because it's your turn, the medieval Gallantmon will resolve first, deleting the Omekamon. At this point, I do try to do some sort of crazy Zephaga ace play. It doesn't do exactly what I want. And so we're going to suspend the Omnimon. We're going to gain 2k DP plus its effect to suspend itself and unsuspend itself, gaining 3k, putting itself at 13, 14, 15. And then we're going to Vortex using Shoto to swing its security. My opponent's just going to redirect with Lord Nightmon. I still have Piercing, and then I use the other Shoto to unsuspend. And that is a way that you could structure your effects. You trigger the first Shoto, use Vortex, and then you're still at your end of turn, so you can finish using the second Shoto. But my opponent does end up getting rid of my Zephagamon with the Gallantmon, and then it swings at my last security. And because he has so much memory, he's able to do whatever he wants. But really, he just uses the Royal Knight option to close out game. All right, and so that was a round of Royal Knights versus Zephagamon. I definitely will be having a rematch and posting that probably, definitely this not this week or not next week, but coming up. Within the next couple of weeks, I'll be trying against a few different decks, just learning how they play, learning the interactions with my deck, and going from there. So thank y'all for watching.